Domestic abuse is terrorism. Does that sound insane to you? I know that in America we come to see terrorism in a certain way. Foreigners with dark agendas or unbalanced young men who have a point to prove and a weapon. But many of you will tell me that a terrorist can't be someone you know well. Now before you go to another video, and yes, I know you want to, let me ask the real question. Why should you care about domestic abuse? Well, when we criticize other countries for violating our values by allowing intimidation of women, how can we tolerate it here? When we justifiably seek answers to the problem of gun violence, how do we ignore this horrible violation of our basic rights as Americans? And how can any American accept the terrorizing of women and children on American soil? How does domestic violence violate our values of freedom? Well, being a victim is like living in a fascist country. Anything can bring on a barrage of fists or threats. The reasons are always irrational and unpredictable. A victim is a prisoner somewhere in the United States. Children are the silent victims of domestic abuse, and the long-term effects are as bad as any form of PTSD. Substance abuse, criminal behavior, suicide, any of these can be the result of being exposed to the brutal abuse of a parent. Studies have shown that the majority of offenders in our prison experienced some sort of abuse or witnessed it as children. So let me suggest that making the assumption that domestic abuse is not a real problem is a mistake. According to the FBI, about 2 million men per year beat their partners, and what most people don't realize is that many of them seem normal on the surface. Can you accept that someone on your street might be an abuser? That he beats his wife? That he intimidates and hits her? That his children are forced to watch? Well, here are some statistics that might clarify the situation. 14% of all American women acknowledge having been violently abused by a husband or boyfriend. Violence against women in the home causes more injuries to women than car accidents, muggings, and rapes combined. Every day, 4 women are killed by their intimate partner. Now, this last statistic is the most disturbing. As large a nation as we are, it would seem that 1,460 deaths a year is worth a national dialogue of its own. So ask yourself this. Is there a family maybe a few houses away from you that is living in hell behind closed doors? This video is prompted by the story of Carrie Charlesworth. It's also the story of an untold number of battered and abused women. It's likely you know one of them, though you don't realize it. And that is the point. A few years ago, this mother of 4 lost her job as a teacher. Earlier that year, her ex-husband appeared in the school parking lot, forcing a lockdown. At first, Carrie was given a leave of absence, but it was finally decided that Miss Charlesworth was a liability. She was fired because she and her children, who also attended the school, were targets of her ex-husband. This made the rest of the students and teachers at the school targets as well. Carrie is a mother, and she and her children need protection too. So where does our responsibility really lie? If Carrie Charlesworth's story and the story of other victims represent terrorism, wouldn't the FBI bring all their resources to bear to prevent it? Well, there have been excuses of epic proportions that go on and allow abuse to continue. The kind that have been used for so long, no one doubts them. For instance, if a victim really wanted to defend themselves, why don't they contact the police? Surely if enough people know about an abuser's behavior, something would be done, wouldn't it? Well, the answer to the last question is no. Domestic abuse is generally handled with as little real intervention as possible. And why don't victims call the police? A call to the police offers a reprieve from terrorism only as long as the police are present, which is a minuscule sliver of time an abuser has to take revenge. And then there is the order of protection. As Carrie Charlesworth told the press the day of the lockdown, her ex-husband had given her and her children a bad weekend, just before appearing in the parking lot. This means that he appeared near enough for her to be alarmed several times in one weekend, despite the order of protection. Carrie's firing proves that the order of protection can be of limited value. There are many loopholes that allow the abuser to continue to terrorize victims. But is domestic abuse truly a form of terrorism? Let's begin with a definition from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. The systematic use of terror, especially as a means of coercion. Sound familiar? For now, our answer is to create legislation that is as harsh as any other set of laws designed to deal with violence and coercion. We need to meet domestic violence and stalking crimes with laws that carry escalating penalties, starting with 8 to 10-year sentences and ending with life in prison if there is a third offense. Our job now is to make Americans aware of what is happening right next door and ask the question, are you willing to have this happen in your country? There is rage in your eyes, a fever born of sickness and lies. There are debts that you claim, the things you say I've done that bring you shame. Though my conscience is clear, I will still feel the fear of the darkness you hide, and the beast locked inside. There are ghosts in your mind, and dancing to their tune will make you blind to the family you know, with love and trust you lost so long ago. Are the children